This snake starts eating these trees and these grass, which is the neshamas that are by them. They're damaged, they're taken. And he takes them just like a person who finds a lost item by a river, by a strong river, by the ocean. So the owner of the item already gave up on it, and therefore the person who finds it could take it. These neshamas are the same. But afterwards what happens is, a process called the shalat ha'adam ba'adam b'ralot comes and takes over them. Now, this klipa enjoys energy from these neshamas, and it looks for the worst place that it could put these neshamas. It tries to put it in the worst places. Takes it and puts it into goyim sometimes, into really bad families. And all of a sudden, this neshama, since it's a holy neshama, but it's a captured neshama, this neshama gets a hero tshuva, thoughts of tshuva, and wants to come back to its original place. When it does this, it has the power to destroy the klipa that it's found inside. That's what it says, Eis Shalat Ha'adam Rodam L'Rala. That the klipa thinks that he controls and he rules over these neshamas. But in fact, it's the opposite. It turns around and it becomes bad for him, bad for the klipas. And with this, we said that the Bnei Anusim, the Moranos, that were forced to become Christian, 500 years later, they're waking up and they're coming back to become religious. This is a revelation of this aspect. If this continues, it'll destroy Christianity from the inside. For 500 years, they were trying to force these Jews to become Christian, and they're waking up and coming back to the Jewish nation. So it says here. When a man is with his wife, so there's some tipos that at the end of the day will be left on a sheet. These tipos are holy. And the Arizal even gave over tikkunim to do on these tipos, so like Zerah. Whatever a person does, there's no way that he could avoid this thing. This is like an aspect that the klipas enjoy themselves from, and it's like ma'anochanim chova. There's an Indian also to wash a person's hand after tashmish, and to put some water around the bed, and then to say some lachash, some words in order to stop the female evil angel from getting energy and getting koach from these tipos that are left on the sheets. And the first one comes out in this aspect and draws the tipos from above and into three lines. And each tipa is divided into 3 tipos, which is really 9. First there are 3 of Chachma Bin and Das, and each one have a line, right, left, and center, all the evil side of the klipa. And each tipa makes 1 light. Well, not 1 light, 1 yor of the klipa. These are the 9 yorim that go with the power of the din. And they're mastin in the different heavens. And we could give another type of explanation for this. Like sometimes when young men they get very startled by this fact, this thing that happens. Sometimes they have difficulty going in the bathroom. And when they're going in the bathroom, also in the Meriglaim, also a certain type of liquid comes out, which is like zeh. This is actually the liquid also of zeh. Because the pipe of the shetan is very much connected to the pipe of the zeh. There's a little difference between them, and sometimes liquids pass from one to the next, from the zeh to the shetan. Especially when he's not married, there's a lot there that sometimes it passes over from one pipe to the next. Now what's the din for this? Does he have to do tikkun kol afterwards? Does he have to do tears after tovel in the mikvah? It says here that's true, that he does. But also here there's a certain type of achiza and the klipa in these things. And this builds the teshiyah. On the other side, the keser doesn't come from this tzima. When does it come out? After all the zir comes out of the mikvah, into the mikvah, there's a little left that can't go out into the mikvah. Whatever doesn't come out in the kachitz is going to be left there. And whatever stays in is going to come out slowly afterwards. And this is going to be the keser of the klipa that stays inside and comes out afterwards. This is even more of what passes over into the other tzina. It was something that's supposed to be given to the mikvah. For this yor, when it comes out, this yor is considered better than everything. Because it receives aura from the Zohar Kodesh. In Priyat Harmoni and Bereshis, we see according to the earlier Mekubalim, before the Arizal, the division of the four rivers. It says here, I wrote here in the Sefer, you have to understand what are these four roshim. We're going to explain these things. That we have to understand first that a person is an olam katan. Everything is inside of the world. It says B'tzalma Kimas Al-Zadam. Now, the Abba Mavulachia writes in Emir Shefer, he says, according to comparing the Gan Eden to the body, we have to understand that the Nar, the river that comes out of Eden, is the spine, and the Gan is the Guf. And from the spine comes four different types of liquids. There's the white one, which comes from the brain, and from it come all the other ones. And the first chomer is Chava. And the Rav here explains the Adam is like Nefesh and the Chava is Guf. And they rest in four different places: in the mind, in the heart, in the kavod, and in the beitzim. These four liquids. And from there they divide into four. And also in different sefer, Keser Shem Tov connected the colors with the rivers. Pishon is white, Gihon is black, green is Gihon, and Pras is red. Pishon is Keged the Mach, just like we explained. Why is Pishon Keged the Mach? Gihon is Keged the Lev, Chiyach is Keged the Kavod, and Pras is Keged the Beitzim. Pishon is Keged the Mach. It's a gematria of 446, which is gematria MS. This we have to perceive with our mind. From the Tishayon, which is from Pishon. We have to get rid of all sorts of dimyonos, all sorts of imagination from our mind. Also, according to the Mekubalim, Pishon comes out, can I get the head? This river that's called Pishon This is also connected to Mitzrayim and Babel. This is the Rosh of the Galus. Mitzrayim is Kesar and Babel is Chabad. Kishon is Malchus Babel. And from this river, all the other ones get filled from. And every Yor there's one snake. There are 9 snakes and 9 different types of rivers. And each one has a hole inside its head. And from this hole they yonik their koach. It's the Shabbat of Rosh Hashanah. If you make a shever in the hole of their head, that they should be able to be yonik from Kedusha. This is the Tanim of Gdol. There's a hole inside his head. This means to say that also this klipa, since its Indian is always sucking from Kodesh, and knows that this Kodesh gives it life, this a little bit saves the world, that the klipa should not destroy the whole world. And this is not like the machla. Once it beats the body, once the machla beats the body, then the body dies. If it were more smart, it would leave the body in a certain low status, a little bit weak, and it would leave it life. In any case, it would let it live. But since the machla just wants to win, it fights against the healthy cells, and doesn't receive anything from the intelligence. After a while, the whole body dies. When it dies, the blood stops flowing also to it. It doesn't understand. It says, "Oh, I won." But still, I lost. So, smarter klipa leaves the life force by the kedusha, so it can continue to draw from it. Rishon always have to be by tzaddikim. If not, they'd have no one to take from. There can't be a whole nation full of thieves, because once everyone's thieves, and they have no one to steal from. There just have to be some people working. And after a while, the whole world shakes from the power of the Gvurus, and even this is just a mashal, even though there are some earthquakes every so often, every few years. This here is just a mashal. We're not saying that it does say that all sorts of bad things do happen to destroy Mamzerim and Chasron, to kill them. It says that since all the klipa is always drawing from Kedusha, in this situation where the klipa doesn't get what it wants, then it damages the whole world. This is also the idea why a person who is chozeh b'tshuva gets stronger, why he can't do everything all at once. If a person takes kedusha on a higher level than what he's able to receive, then very often that's Yetzer Hara. You see, for a certain amount of time he goes with this high level of kedusha, and then he falls apart. This isn't good. It's better not to do too much, and you should always go forward. Everything should be staged. It's better than taking too many kabbalas upon yourself, and then you realize he wakes up, he didn't sleep at all, and it's very hard for him. It's too much, and then it hurts his body physically. Because in Indian also, we're not speaking here about Averis, Chas v'Shalom. We're just talking about taking down a level of kedusha in order that a person should be able to continue, sustain it long term. it's very hard on the nefesh to do this, but it's something, one of the things that a person sometimes has to do. If he doesn't do it, chas v'shalom, it could be the itza of the Yitzhar. If a person is not mevater on anything and it starts hurting him physically, then there's already the itza of the Yitzhar, not to leave these things. The person has to learn how to do things slowly, do things gently, not to do too much. The person wants to learn how to get better. If he's going to physically be damaged, and his mentality and his personality will be damaged, what's it worth? I felt like this about myself in the past few months. It wasn't one shir I was giving 2 or 3, and I was doing them in different places, and after a while I was realizing I'm just going over the same thing. I'm never developing. I don't have any time. I'm always giving. And I'm never getting full. Who told me this thing? I was in shock. I was getting my lungs checked. I was in a situation where I was breathing, and as if like the lungs weren't being filled up, that something was pressuring on my lungs. I wanted to breathe more, and it wasn't being filled. I felt pressure, and I wanted to breathe again. And I was having a problem with my lungs. So I did a test. And the technician said, "Why do you come here?" And I said, "I don't have any air." And she says, "See, everything is just fine. I see you're breathing just fine. According to the tests, you're totally fine." I said to her, "But I can't." She said to me, a Chiloni person, Russian lady, she said to me, "For many years you're breathing out and you're giving out and you're not taking in. You're taking out, and you're not bringing in. Not bringing in enough." You see, it starts expressing itself in a physical way. And the fact that we're not taking in spirituality, learning and preparing. To prepare for a shir, I'm taking 40 hours. 40 hours. At least 40 hours for one shir. It took me 40 years till I would say something. Then it would take me 20 hours, and then it took me... And then I would just go, whatever comes, comes. Sometimes amazing things come out. It's such an idea to go, then whatever comes out, comes out. But if a person does not get filled up, he feels in his nefesh. There's nothing to do. A person has to cut down. There's nothing to do. A person wants to be healed from the machla. He has to cut out also part of the limb. If some of the pieces can be left inside the limb, it's going to become the sickness all over again. If a person doesn't cut some of the flesh, some of the healthy flesh, then nothing will go down. So I took some things down. I took off tikkun chatzos. But if a person stubbornly goes forward and doesn't stop, then even he won't be able to put on tefillin. It's better to feel as if you didn't put on tefillin than to be caught, and in the end a person even tefillin won't be able to put on. And I've seen people like this. I knew a certain big Rav, because you might know, a really big Rav. He was a Mazaki the Rabbi, a very big Mazaki Rabbi. He told me, he worked in Arachim. He told me he got to a situation where I was not able to daven in the morning. And I wouldn't daven in the morning. I would daven maybe at 12 or 1 in the afternoon. From the amount that I used to give, I had lost that. I didn't understand 10 years ago, I didn't understand what he was talking about. But practically I understand this could happen. It's not one person, it's not 2 people before this does happen. We have to go ahead forward with intelligence. To go with in Kedusha is a real skill. And sometimes the Yetzer Hara says, go more and more and more, do more and do more and do more. Until a person falls, falls to the depths. Person gets so caught up with it, he doesn't stop. He goes one, then another. He doesn't stop. Then he wakes up in the morning, I realized, wow, I have something on my head, it doesn't work. Didn't have time to build the kelim. Sometimes we have to rest, there's nothing to do. More that a person afterwards can be filled up. This is part of the things that a person has to do. Four went into the Pardes, and only Rabbi Akiva came out V'Shalom. Why did I mention Rabbi Akiva? They didn't speak about the fact that he went into the Pardes. That wasn't his main thing. They speak about the fact that he got out of the Pardes. And this needs real skill to get out, to know when to come out, to take the high things and bring them down. The person who forgets to come out, that's Ben Azai and Ben Zoma, they don't come out. Something will happen. So we said that three things that Rabbi Akiva went up and came back. So another went up and kept on going. He never came back. It's Hitzis Mace. He looked and he died. And one went up and he stayed connected. And he didn't really go back to his place. He was Hitzis Nifka. His mind didn't work normal afterwards. The person said, oh, don't never see what I saw, look what I saw. Saw Mata sitting on his chair, a person gets really serious knock in his head, and he's not able to handle it. People on the street don't understand these visions, these things that he sees. They come out after a while. And there are a lot of people like this. And Elisha ben Abuya, he went up, he went down, he kept on going down. He didn't go back to the same place. He went down, and he went down underneath the ground. He pulled out a vegetable. He pulled out the vegetable because he went down into the roots. He went underneath, he went down. He saw Zon on the shuk, and he asked her to have relations with him, and she said, oh, but I thought you were Elisha ben Abuya. He was Machal Shabbos. He went down. The idea, a person has to have his feet on the ground. He has to have his feet on the ground. What's it worth if he's not also on the ground? That's the main aspect of Yiddishkeit, is to stay here in the world and to be a person. If a person isn't like that, then what's it all worth? You have to understand this whole world. This whole world is dependent, connected to the Sitracha. This isn't simple. If it weren't for the Sitracha and the Yitzhahar and the Gevurus, there would be nothing. Even though we are fighting against it and we try to minimize it, and we look for Kedusha, but if it was just Kedusha without the Sitracha, there would be no gas. There would be no energy. Like a beautiful car without any gas. The Sitracha is what's moving the world. And that's why the whole world is the fins of the Leviosan. So in the God of Rabbi Bavachana, he says he saw an island in the sea, and he went on and he cooked something there, and he found it was a big fish. This big fish was a Leviosan. And this Leviosan is hinting to the Sitracha. And the whole world is connected to the Sitracha. You have to just be careful not to get him too upset, to keep him on a low flame. We can't cook on his back. If we cook on his back, then it'll go wild.